Hello! Hello everybody! Welcome to the stream. I should be live. Everything should be arranged. Hopefully I can see some people in the chat already. How are you doing? How is everybody? As you guys know, today's feedback stream, so you can put your track in here. We already have a track in here. I don't know if I listened to this track last time. If I didn't, feel free to resubmit it, Phil, if you're here. Otherwise, we're just going to wait and sit here and listen to some tracks together. Normally, at this point, people already submit, but today there aren't any tracks, so I guess we just sit and wait here, see how everybody's doing. Sweep, how are you doing? Cosmo, welcome. Galactics, welcome as well. Some new names in the chat, nice to see. I guess I could start off with this, though. Let me see, can I show this in a way that you guys don't see more than you should see? Let me try it like this. Yes, okay, so this way I can show it. Here, this is what I wanted to show. This is our label, Eclipse Sound Syndicate, that we started literally a week ago. And as you can see, we're already putting massive views. So that's very nice. I want to thank everybody for the support. If you haven't seen this already, go subscribe to the channel right here. I'll see if I can quickly pop a link in the chat for you guys so that you have easy access. But this is where we are publishing our music from now on. For those that don't know, this is a label that I started together with some other people. Those other people are MindBee, Subject Ultra, Mortec, and Lunarium. As you can see right here from the channel banner as well, and the description as well. We have many more links, obviously, for streaming and stuff like that. You can go anywhere. We have a Twitter and Instagram. Mixcloud, we haven't done anything with that yet. In the future, once we start doing DJ mixes, they will go up on there, as well as on the YouTube channel. And each track that is uploaded here obviously has their own version on streaming. So you can go to the track and click whichever track you want.
Arcade.
We get advertisements for some reason. But anyway, you can check out the music here. You can check out the whole album if you want. The album is on Bandcamp as well. So you can purchase the whole thing, or you can purchase individual tracks if you like. But yeah, overall, just wanted to thank you guys for supporting our endeavors in this new label. And I hope that you guys will enjoy the music that has come out now, as well as the music that will come out in the future. MindBee is here, welcome. We have our first track posted in the Feedback on Stream channel. For those that don't know, !feedback should wake up the bot. Let me see if he is alive. And that should give you a link to my Discord server. You'll land right here. And then you just scroll down to Feedback on Stream and you post your track right here. Don't confuse it with Feedback not for stream, but just go to the Feedback on Stream channel right here. The bot is live, so that's nice. Perfect. Okay, we'll start listening to the first track. This is Little Friends by ZWB. Let's have a listen. bass looks nice. Sounds nice as well. I think this one sound is a little bit too loud. I'd like to hear the snare a little bit more. I also think the structure there was a little bit strange. Here another sound that is a little bit on the loud side, that 4-man thing. I'm not a fan of this reverb thing that you're doing here. I don't know, it sounds very muddy, it sounds very strange. In general, I would say that the whole track is a little bit on the muddy side, maybe a little bit too much reverb on some of the elements. If you're doing something like this, where the kick and bass is coming in at the low frequencies, what I would recommend is lowering the volume a little bit so it has more impact when the drop actually hits. I'm not a fan of the fact that you're continuously using the same synth throughout the whole track. I think this synth at this point has run its course and you should probably move to a different idea. Same is true with the 4-man synths. So here the drums are still at the highest energy in that you have all of the drums going, but the rest of the sounds suggest that it should be a very low energy part, so there's a little bit of a mismatch there in my opinion. Also, speaking about the drums, I don't hear an open hat. At least I haven't heard it in this track yet. I think I said it already that the snare could also be a little bit louder. If there is an open hat, it should probably be a lot louder. If there isn't an open hat, I would recommend adding one. Galactics, I will get back to that after we listen to the track. I like what you're doing here with the synths combination and the ARP.
24 hours a day.
At that point you could unfilter the vocal so that the vocal comes through all the way. It still has the high pass filter on it. I think it could be a little bit more clear. I understood what he was saying, but it could be a little bit more clear. Still think there's no open hat here, right? There's still like a normal closed hat and then a louder closed hat, I guess. What that leads to is that the offbeat doesn't have a lot of presence here. So there, it lacks a little bit in terms of groove. Finally, if you're doing your fills and stuff like that, what I would do is at the point where the fill starts, there you stop your drums. So that you have the space for the fill to do something different in terms of the groove, because that's really what the fill is supposed to do. It is to change, or to kind of, I guess you call it resetting the listener. At least that's what I've been calling it. And what that means is that whenever the fill plays, right, the goal of the fill is to say like, oh, something new is about to happen. You need to give a little bit of a heads up to the listener, like things stop, the fill plays, and then new elements start, right? And if you continue your drums into the fill, it doesn't really have that sudden switch to it. You know what I mean? So I think that's another improvement that you could make. Overall, a few detail things that I think I've pointed out, but overall, track sounds very, very nice. Some tips to us new producers about how to fit the label standards and about adapting the style and BPM standards. We don't necessarily have a BPM standard or style standard or anything like that. In fact, at this point, we haven't even thought about it, because for now, we're just focusing on like getting this stuff off the ground, getting this label off the ground. In the future, of course, we're going to probably write a standard and put that out to people, and we might accept demos or something like that, or even maybe through the feedback stream I'll listen out for artists to sign, or throughout other methods we'll get to know artists. For now, we're not focused on getting new artists signed, so we haven't really worried about that. We want to get it off the ground first, and then maybe in like half a year or something like that, once we have the ball rolling, once we have a couple of people signed up just for like followers and stuff like that, then we can start to think about other artists. The other thing is that we probably want to do it in a way where we all collectively decide on the artists to sign, at least for the first few. All sign trends over 100 BPM. Well, no, not really. In terms of style, it is definitely, you can definitely hear that we have like a common style to it, in that it's I guess between progressive and full-on kind of ish. Some guys are a little bit more aggressive in their sound design, a little bit more aggressive in their style. Well, I am a little bit more melodic, I would say, together with maybe Mind B as well. But that's kind of like the area that we would focus on. We wouldn't sign like a purely high-tech artist, for example. At least at this point. That's the way that I would see it right now. As I said, we haven't thought too much about this yet. So there's going to be like a process where we write down all of the standards that we're looking for. We talk together about just potential artists to sign. And as I said, the other thing is we should all five of us run this thing collectively. So we should all, accept the fact that we sign a new artist. Like, we should all be on board with the new artist that we sign. Still no new tracks. If anybody wants to submit, now is the time to do so. Yeah, you should sign artists when you actually give them some value and encourage their career. Yes, 100%. For now, this is a step for our career, right? My career and them as well. The next step is going to be getting it to a point where we can facilitate somebody else's career as well. The growth of another artist. Because right now we cannot do that, right? We can tell you like, okay, we're going to sign you and give you... I guess we don't really do things as a contract, I guess. In the sense that even right now we haven't actually, I guess you would say, signed a contract with a company here. What we're essentially doing is we're just creating this collective under which we are releasing our tracks. So it's not like a legal entity yet. Maybe in the future that will also happen, depending on how things grow. But for now, it's just a method for us to distribute our music everywhere and collectively promote our music. I could send mine, but I think you don't want splice vocals. I didn't want remixes and stuff like that. If it's a splice vocal, it's okay, I think. Hello, Mr. Friendly. Welcome to the stream. Also, Ambrosia, Glyph. Welcome. Fobi, welcome as well. Hello from Barnaul. I have no idea where that is, but say hello to them as well, wherever that may be. Geography is not, has never been my strongest subject, I guess, in school. Again, for the people just joining, I will listen to your music if you type !feedback. Then the bot will get you into my Discord server. And you will probably land right about here, where you can then go down and go to feedback on stream and just post your music right here. It can be a SoundCloud link, can be a file directly, an MP3 file is fine. There's some other links in here as well, which we could go over. Yeah, here, Dropbox is fine. Google Drive is fine. I'm seeing if there's other things in here. Yeah, Google Drive, as you can see, is fine. YouTube is fine. The only thing that I currently don't accept is WeTransfer. Bernal is my city. I understood that, but I didn't know where it is. Anyway, any type of file, any type of link is fine to do for the feedback on stream. I should probably mention that why Ambrosia said it. Before submitting, there's something to read here. Just a little thing. There's two things in here. You grant me permission to play and review your track on the live stream and the subsequent video on YouTube. This is important, so legally speaking, I am in the right to use your music, and I can use this text to show that. I can use your message. Whenever I get a copyright claim, I'll take the message that you submitted through your Discord account, and I'll just link to that message, copy message link, I'll do that, and then send that along with the reasoning why it's okay to, for me to play the music, right? Because you give me permission by posting here, by submitting here, you give me permission to use it in the live stream as well as on the video that is made out of the live stream. The other thing, obviously, don't submit works which you don't fully own the copyright to. So you need to have copyright on the material that you're submitting. Hello from Israel. I'm new to music production. I have Ableton 11 Lite. Any suggestions on where I could start learning Psytrance production? To start learning, really, it's all about experimentation, because just like any other skill, at the beginning you know nothing, right? And it's going to just to get into the point where you're going to be making music that you're going to be like happy with. It's going to take at least a couple of months. That being said, the process of learning I find a lot of fun. I'm still learning every day, obviously. I still watch tutorials almost every day on music production, I would say. So overall, the learning part is for me the most fun. What you should probably do first is set up your studio or your system or whatever you're using for production in a way that you can learn effectively and that the learning is fun to do. That is the very first thing, because you're going to be learning a lot. There's a lot of different things that you need to know before you're going to be making like professional music. It's just like becoming a professional chef. Anytime you start cooking, it's going to take a while before you're actually good at cooking. Music production learning is endless. Yes, very much. And it is indeed a lot of fun as well. I think right now it should appear on my channel. The list of people that I am subscribed to. Let me see if that's appearing now. Yes. So on my channel, if you go to my channel right now, normally there's like a video here that starts to autoplay. But if you scroll down, you can see all of the people that I am subscribed to. Right? So these are all of my subscriptions. And these are all of the people that I learn from. There's some non-psytrance producers in here. There's obviously our label. There's some other people in here, like Subject Ultra that I'm subscribed to, that don't necessarily make tutorials. Even this guy doesn't make psytrance tutorials. Burning Mountain is a festival, so obviously doesn't make tutorials. This guy makes techno tutorials. But there's a lot of different people in here. This guy, Ollie Music, Mute is amazing. Clada is amazing. Dash should be here somewhere as well. Why is Dash not in here? I am subscribed to him. There's many people not in here. Yeah, Basilisk here. Eclip, Dash, Alice. Then I guess this list of people is more representative of all of the stuff that I tend to watch. For learning. But as you can see, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of different people that you can learn from and a lot of different people that teach music production. Use all of it. See which style of teaching works best for you and which person you get the best results with. Yeah, more than that, I cannot really say. That's basically how you start learning. There isn't like really one, should I get a MIDI keyboard with my next paycheck? No, I wouldn't, at least it's not necessary, right? At the beginning, it's easy to tell somebody like, okay, spend money on your studio monitor, spend money on your audio interface, spend money on something like this thing over here, which I never use. This is just for show, by the way. The only reason this is here is so that I have something that makes me look interesting in the background during my videos and live stream. It's not actually, it's not even functional. Like if I play something in here, it doesn't go into the PC, so it's not a MIDI controller. All of that stuff is unnecessary. I've produced for 10 years without studio monitors. I just got them last week. So it's completely unnecessary to have anything particular that you need to buy, like a MIDI keyboard or monitors or the audio interface or a hardware synth or a modular system. Anything like that is completely unnecessary to start off with. What you will find is that those tools do help you in the long term, right? So it can allow you to develop a unique style of sound. Why do we have this? Copy link. I'll update the link right now. Stream elements. In the meantime, I'll post it in here. This is the link to my Discord. That should work, that one. Let me know if it does so that I can update it in the command as well. What models are your monitors? I got the Atom Audio T7Vs, and they're very nice. Have you ever learned playing piano? No. Again, as I said, this is just for show. This is just there so that in the background it looks cool and it looks like I have more of a studio than I actually do. This is why I like streaming, because I can just be, you know, open about those things. I'm producing with a JBL soundbar and sub. Whatever you're using, yeah, you can just use. You can just get to learn the system. Okay, so I'll go into feedback and I'll update the Discord link here then, so that now the link should work. Okay. So there's some people joining, nice. We do have another track here to listen to. This is Ambrosia. Sorry. Ambrosia here with Focus, master number 2. So let's have a listen. Either the snare is a little bit too high-end for me, or the kick is lacking a little bit of click for me. You can see there's no overlap between them. In terms of the vibe, I would go with a softer, more low-frequency kind of snare. Vocals could be a little bit louder, especially towards the end there when there's stuff like adding energy. It becomes harder and harder to understand the vocal. And the point of a vocal is that you listen to that, so you can really mix it up top, on top of the track. I think now with the click happening on the kick, the main issue is that it sounds a little bit too clean. I would expect like a stompy kick more. A kick with a little bit more boxiness to it, I guess. It's a very clean kick. It could almost function like a psytrance kick, this, with how clean it is. And I think the thing of the clap slash snare still stands for me. In that it's a little bit too bright and therefore there's little cohesion with the kick. Will this ever turn into psytrance? I don't think it will, especially because he said it was melodic breakbeat. Snare is a pain to me too. It's just a little bit too bright. You could go for something like a lo-fi sample. I feel like that really fits the vibe here. You know, one of those bit crushed, kind of darker snares. The same could be said for the kick, by the way. A lo-fi kick, I think, works a little bit better than the very clean one that you have now. because the rest of the breakbeat feels quite raw and not that, you know, precise, I should say, that clean. Mix-wise, I would lower the piano a little bit so that the ARP comes through a little bit more. And then, as I said before, the vocals could also be louder. Right now you have the piano and the ARP really fighting for the same space. You could have one on top of the other. And usually you would have the ARP on top of the piano because that's a little bit more important, seeing as that's like the main melody, I guess. And the piano is more the chords, I think. The problem is everything is bounced to audio. Well, yeah, that's unfortunate. That would mean indeed that you would need to replace the kick in that you have to line up new kicks with all of the old ones, I guess, in the project. But that's doable. But when live, my mix sounds shit compared to my soundbar. Yeah, that's an issue. The mixing on a soundbar is always going to translate worse than, for example, monitors. But when you're starting out producing like that, monitors are, I guess, you could say, such an investment because proper monitors go into a proper treated room. For me also, I have the monitors now, but the room obviously isn't treated, as you can see. So to really make the monitor shine, you need a proper room, and you kind of fall down in this roller coaster. Don't feel the need that you need to do that, or that you need to continue purchasing hardware in order to get a better mix. There are ways that you can mitigate the effect of mixing on bad systems to an extent. Like, I like my mixes, even the ones that I did before I got the monitors, and even listening back to them on monitors, I like them. But it took me 10 years to get to a point where I can say, like, I know how to, or I can feel that I can mix on the system that I was working on. Proper headphones are also fine. Just the only thing that you need to do is understand the limitations of your system, right? So for headphones, one of the things that you're going to get is an over-exaggerated stereo field. In that the stereo width is much more here and here because the left and right channel don't cross over. For anybody that doesn't know the main difference between speakers and headphones is that in headphones, the left ear only gets the left channel and the right ear only gets the right channel. Whereas when you're listening to speakers, the speaker right ear kind of comes in to your right ear, or the right speaker comes into your right ear, and then a little bit later it comes into your left ear as well. And that difference, it also going to the left ear, usually narrows your mix a little bit. and work on this project where I would really have to sit down and edit every snare and make it fit. No, you just replace the snare. Why would you need to edit every snare? If it's already bounced to audio, you're going to... Wait. Say that I look for an audio bounce of one of my snares. Right? So audio bounce is usually fairly long. There should be a snare in here somewhere, if the file shows it. Maybe not. I just want an example of like a snare layer, I guess. This should eventually open up a snare somewhere. Yes. You're not going to edit every snare, right? You're not going to go in here and say like, oh, I want this to be, I guess, different. What you do is, first of all, obviously you make sure that it's BPM aligned. Something like this, no. Trying to find BPM alignment here. Because don't know which track this is from either. Can this be from my... No. Yeah, normally this would be aligned, so you would basically have a snare every other, I guess, beat. We could find the BPM here, actually. Give me a second. I'll show a little BPM finding trick. You just put it to the first one. Align that over here. And now we can properly align it. Yeah, your snare would look something like this, where it's aligned to the grid, right? So instead of what you're saying, editing every snare to, I don't know, add more fade to it, for example. Right? Something like this. What you should probably end up doing is just finding a snare that already works. So here I go snare. I go to, I don't know, anything, any snare here. Something like this maybe, right? This works better. And then you just remake the snare track. And this is something that takes like 5 minutes. You just duplicate it over like this. And then you go boom, right? Unless you have a very specific, unique pattern that never repeats, this shouldn't take much longer than a few minutes to do. And then I would go like... Even this file makes very little sense to me, the way that it's all lined up and stuff. But okay, whatever. Mixing track is a bit difficult for me. I'm afraid my tracks are poorly mixed. Why? What is holding you back? Because it sure isn't like hardware or anything like that, right? Because I was able to mix again on little Logitech speakers. I have them here. I'll show you my hardware that I used to use. This was my main system. These two speakers here was my main system for 10 years of music production. Including all of the stuff that recently came out last week on the label. Everything you heard from me has been mixed on those things. So it's not hardware. The only thing that it could probably be that separates one mixing engineer or one producer from the other is their capabilities. And that's just something that you can improve. That's something that is under your control. You can become better by doing it more and more and more. The main reason why people don't learn mixing is that they're afraid of failure before they start learning. But that's not how anything works. You start or you stop failing at something by doing it more, not by doing it less. So the fact that you're saying mixing is difficult for me should mean that you should be mixing a lot. You should be spending a lot of time trying to improve your mix, right? And that doesn't necessarily... it doesn't necessarily mean... Like, improving your mix doesn't necessarily mean learning more tricks, trying out more tutorial ideas, finding a lot more unique tricks on YouTube. All the tutorials and all the things that you consume, including my own tutorials and my own content, can never train your ear, can never let you hear the balances of your mix, let you hear what your mix actually needs. Those tricks are all like, okay, here's the scenario, this is what I did to apply that to that, and this is why it's specific to that scenario. That's the trick, right? But the trick only works if the rest of the mix is already there. So what you would need to do is you would need to focus on balances, so volume balance, spectral balance, EQing and stuff like that, dynamics, and stereo field. Those are the 4 main things. And you just focus on that and you listen to a reference track and then listen to your own track and you try to figure out where can I improve. And that's a long process. For one, what I've been doing is listening to professional music on my system, whether that be the new, I guess, monitors or the old system, for half an hour every day. That's just to tune my ears. Just like a guitar player tunes his guitar, I have to tune my ears because that's kind of like my instrument, I guess. That's how I hear if what I'm performing actually makes sense, right? The ears, to reference it to other people's materials. Tigreal, how are you doing? Welcome. We have another track to listen to. Next up is Psy music. There are people... I guess that's not important for now. This is, let's see... Pure Glass by Psy music. A bit strange, the transition here. The rhythms are very strange, they don't line up. Very strong spike there on your kick. Also the kick and bass is not cleaned. So what's happening is your bass line is bleeding into your kick. You can see it's destroying the kick up until this point here. Same is true with the bass transient over here. This is getting destroyed by the fact that this is continuing in here. So you would need to resample your kick and bass. You can see how different the transient is when the kick is playing on its own. Then it becomes, by the way, way too loud. Did the BPM change? Okay, so a lot of different things are happening here. For one, there's no structure to what is happening. There's like no fills and stuff like that. and the synths just kind of play at random. Also, their loudnesses are varying a lot. So that one synth came through a lot louder. Here again, you can see a synth that is so loud that it completely takes over the waveform. In a normal mix, you would never see that. If the BPM didn't change, I'm confused as well. I was really confused there for a second. But I think the BPM went up there over like a very long period of time. I don't like that. That sounds very strange. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the structure, the way that you're structuring things. I think the mix doesn't benefit that. The mix might have made more sense if everything was structured. But because it isn't, like things kind of feel like they're playing at random. Right? There's no reasoning to play or to hear a certain synth at certain points, in my opinion. The other thing is the kick and bass is just continuously going. And as I said before, a fill is really where you get to have some liberty in I think we heard this track before. I think I gave feedback to this track before. I like this part. This bass line sounds a lot nicer. At this point, for example, 16 bars has passed, or 15 bars has passed. There should be a fill there of a bar, probably. First time seeing you live, do you do it pretty often? Every Sunday around this time there is a feedback stream, and then during the week I have like an unscheduled stream once, maybe twice. So yes, I do live stream from time to time. I like the bass line that you have going on here. It sounds a lot better. In terms of elements on top, they're still very confusing. It's all a little bit of a, I call it a wall of sound, in that there's no defining element to it. Yeah, now the BPM is lower again. Also, you're using the same kick roll every time. A kick roll is not a fill, right? A kick roll is something that you can put after 8 bars in a section. A fill would be after the 16 bars, for example. Experimented with changing the BPM to try to fit it a little with the high-tech genre. I tried to fix the low kick alignment. There's a lot here. For one, you write it, you don't fit part of a track into a genre. Either the track fits into a genre or it doesn't. So to have this BPM change halfway in between with no clear indication makes a little bit less sense to me. If you want to do a BPM change, there's a few reference tracks I can provide you. Give me a second, I'll get this out of the way here. But if you go into my Psychedelic Favorites playlist, which again is linked in my Discord server, on the landing page somewhere. Let's see. There's 2 tracks that I wanted to show you. The first one is probably, yeah, Time Bender by Electric Universe. He does it really well. I cannot play it on stream for obvious reasons, but you should listen to that. There's a BPM change in that the drop has its own, or the BPM change has its own drop, I should say. And the same is true with a track like, where is it? Yes, the Bliss remix of the Volcano on Mars and Outsiders track here. This one does something a little bit more special in that the BPM that it's transitioning to is, I believe, 3/4 of the old BPM, and it also goes into triplets. So there's still some kind of line up there. You should probably try to stay away from doing something like that. That is very, very complex. But something like Time Bender over here, you can really use that as a way to how you would properly transition into a different BPM. What I wanted to talk about, since there's still no tracks for feedback, is a little bit about the structure. When it comes to structuring your tracks, and that is something that I heard a lot in this track, nothing made sense in the traditional way of musical patterns. And what that means is, see the DAW here, how it's divided up into like little cells, little grids. These are bars, right? So you have bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, and each bar, you can see it, there's a slight difference in color between here and here. So that is like significant. If we zoom out, you can see the same is true for 4-bar sections. So this, please stop doing that. So this is like a significant part here, right? And then we have another one over here. So for 4-bar sections, you could say that that's like significant because the DAW automatically changes the color. When it comes to sidetrends, we tend to write very long drops. So we like to use structures based around 16 bars, something like this. What that means is that kick and bass is playing for 16 bars. That is in and of itself a contained section, a contained idea. So you can have your kick in here, you can have your bass in here, the bass can have a certain melody, the bass can, or the synths can do something, but within this section, you should probably stay to one idea for every element that you have. So you cannot have a bass melody over here that is doing something different from the one over here, for example. Or you cannot have a synth play here, and then never again, because it's playing here, it's playing here. The pattern that it sets up is that it's also going to play here and also going to play right here, right? So those 4 little sections, they are matching, right? Because we're setting up patterns. So you have your little kick thing, you have your little bass. Let me just quickly throw one in maybe. Drum collection. I guess the Psychedelic Drum Pack Volume 1 here. Get a nice kick. We are in 143 BPM. Right, you start producing, you put in your kick. You put in your bass. Let me just get my bass here. I'll do usually something like this on that preset. And then this was F sharp, right? Or E, okay. Guess we're producing an E now. This is usually the starting point for many people, in that they just have the kick and bass laid out for a while. And usually that is around 16 bars. And then you start adding your elements. So what you'll probably do is you sound design a little bit. For me, sound design usually means doing something with the tones pack, getting a nice gritty sound here. Hello? Yes, something like this. Let's say that this is the sound that I want to add. We start by adding it in here. Let's write out a little rhythm here. Say that this is the rhythm that I want to add. What is usually going to happen is that you duplicate this over for the whole section, right? So you get something like this. Very expected. The pattern is clearly audible in that it just repeats over time. Now you add your other synth, you add your one-shots. Usually when it comes to one-shots, what you'll probably do is maybe have like an impact over here. You might have like a little sweep over here, another impact sitting over here. And again, you can see that we're creating this kind of pattern in that the points that are interesting here is the start of the track right here, this particular start. This part over here, this exact thing. I should probably use locators here. I can add the locators for, I guess, the points of interest, you would call them, here and here. In that stuff seems to impact from here, or they rise up until there. So there's this very clear 4-bar pattern, and this doesn't have to be the same sound over and over again. Obviously, it can be always different sounds if you want to. Usually it is different sounds if you're talking about one-shots. But maybe you'll have something like this, and then this one-shot plays over here. And then, I don't know, we have another slide happening over here. And this is kind of the basic way that you set up your one-shots. Whether there's a lot of other synths playing or not, this is the normal way of doing things. Then, it still sounds a little bit... No, I should say that. Then, when we have this part here finished, we have all of our elements in here, we start looking at the next part. So what somebody would do is, usually they would say like, okay, I need the next part. Boom, I have a next part, right? And then they change stuff up, they add drums, stuff like that. But the listener isn't going to know that the next part happened. You need to tell the listener that. And the way that you do that is by using fills. Something like this, a part where the kick and bass doesn't play. Usually I recommend having at least 2 beats of pause before you go back into doing something like a kick fill. So you would do a kick fill like that, right? And the reason for that is you really want the listener to be able to understand like, okay, something is happening. And what that allows you to do is it resets the listener. If I play this track from here or from here, by the time we get to this point, you will know exactly where we are in the track because the fill just happened, right? If I play from here, you know that this is the start, this is the downbeat, this is the point where all of the impact is going to happen in the production, because you know how music works, you know how the patterns work. Everybody knows that because we've been listening to music for our whole lives, right? We don't necessarily need that 4-bar count in order to know that, okay, this is where the next section is happening, because we get that this is a fill and something is happening after that. So that's how you should structure your music, and I feel that that was a little bit lacking in your track, and that's why I wanted to do this little bit of a, I guess, crash course on structuring. I do have a long video on that where I go into much more detail and obviously slightly less rambly, as it's more prepared, right? I can edit it and stuff like that. Elias, can you do a video on this? I have a video on my channel called Arrangement Guide for Psytrance or something like that. I think it was just in the era where my microphone and my camera were very bad. But this video over here, if I can get you that without the timestamp. There you are. Also some new people in the chat. Acid, the guy that I don't know how to pronounce, welcome. Magic Panda, Elias, welcome of course as well. Forms, welcome. Thanks, Dunmate, you're welcome. Hello, hope you're doing well. This is my newest creation. This time I made the bass line with Fruity Loops Harmer instead of Serum. Harmer is an amazing synth. This is Kaasbrood, also known as cheese bread in whatever language, I don't know. Also known as Magic Panda, Hall of Fame is the track that we're going to be listening to. Kaasbrood is indeed cheese bread, right? I'm not making that up, right? Is it like Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, all of the above? Whichever one it is. Safist, welcome. It's a good name for Discord account, I guess. Magic Panda Hall of Fame. Let's go. German? Oh. I'm not a fan of the kick already being at full volume, full power before the drop happens. At least the drop without any impact. Kick and bass sounds very nice. Your kick is too long, it's bleeding into this bass note over here. You should probably resample. I feel like this is also not resampled here. Vocals are very loud. You could turn those down a little bit. Okay, so this vocal has run its course. It was already feeling boring in the last part. You cannot use the same element over and over and over again and expect that to stay interesting. I would have expected some kind of FM synth taking over the vocal in like the second section already, I guess. I like the stereo effect here. The mix here is very well done. I like what's happening here. The only thing I would say is the vocals should have some stereo width to it. It sounds too mono to me. I'm not a fan of your snare. There's too many... Hello? There's too many harmonics in here. I would cut out all of this stuff. You really only want the noise from your snare. I'll show in a little bit how I can tell if the kick and bass is clean or not when we have another kick and bass there. Here you have your bass line overlapping with some drums there. Those also have a lot of low frequencies. I don't see why the low frequencies need to exist right here. So I would just remove that from the bass. There's no reason for the low frequencies to be there. pattern made very little sense to me. With the triplets and the way too many 32 notes. I don't like your overuse of the vocals. As I said, I think that's like one section, maybe two, where you can really use them. But you're using them all over the place and it gets really boring after a while. Here there's some strange filtering happening on the bass line. Suddenly it opens up. Some strange decisions in there, but overall I do think that the idea is very cool. Okay, let's look at how you can see if a kick and bass is clean. I'll open up the last track because there it was maybe a little bit more obvious. Oh, I need to play it before and then pause it in here. So I always pause it. What I essentially look for is one, where is the transient of the kick? Right here. We can identify that pretty easily, right? We know what the kick kind of looks like in terms of shape, but you can already see that this kick doesn't look like your standard kick waveform. If you look at a standard sidetrans kick, hello, can you close? Thank you very much. If you look at the standard kick and just compare that to what we have here, you can see that the start of the transient is kind of like bent down right here, and it's being bent up right here. With respect to the zero line, to the silence line, which is this blue line over here, right? Normally that's not the case. It oscillates exactly around that line. Any normal sidetrans kick always oscillates around that line. That's the very first thing that I check for, because this means that there's no sidechaining, no resampling, nothing done to the kick and bass in order to make it clean, or you did do resampling, you did do sidechaining, and you messed up afterwards in maybe the mastering with using too many filters, or in your mixing, or you just started applying new effects to the bassline after resampling, not realizing that by doing so the reason why you're resampling is now like messed up again, right? So that's the first thing I look for. Then if they nail the sidechaining, so if the kick is clean, it can always be the case that the bassline isn't clean. In this case, we have both. What we can see is that there's basically this continuous wall of bass happening here, right? And what that means is that the transients, which you can see right over here and here, aren't going to have any impact. When it comes to bass lines, you always want them to look like this. Let's say we take this bass line over here and we like that. What you don't want is something where you have the bass line and it's just kind of going in there, right? So you can see the waveform, it goes up, 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 and then it goes into this. Usually it would overlap somewhat, doing something like this. This is what we're seeing now, right? In that the previous bass note kind of continues into this bass note over here. What you would want is you want something like this, where the bass note stops, it goes to silence, and then it goes into the next transient, so that the transient has the fullest power that exists, right? You cannot go fuller from no energy, so no volume playing, into the transient. Anything more than this, anything that looks like this, is going to smoosh out that transient, because this waveform waveform is going to be pushing into the transient. You don't want that. You want it to be nice and clean so that every transient, every part that is important to the rhythm, that is important to the trance-like effect that the kick and bass should give you, is fully pronounced, right? So that it rolls off and then the click happens. We hear that roll off happens and then the click happens. So the click is very clear in this sense. In this case, the click is not very clear, the bass, and therefore we don't get that real trance-like state, I should say. Thank you so much for your attention to my question. You're welcome. I hope that it helps. I also have this in video format, by the way. Is your kick and bass clean? Here's how to fix that, something like that. I'll again see if I can link it for you guys. Is my bassline finished? No. Did I make a video called Is My Bassline Finished? I don't know. Anyway, here's the video format of what I just explained, and it also explains how to actually clean up your kick and bass. Okay, with that being said, let's go to the next person that is submitting. Shroom Kaboom here, very nice username, very nice profile picture as well. And the track is Psychedelic Breakthrough Test for Projector Stream. I hope that this name change happens when you finally release it, because releasing it with a double name like that should probably not be the best thing. Just joking. Quantum Hopper with Psychedelic Breakthrough. Let me pull up these analyzers here and let's have a listen.
Bifurcation of the fantastic and frightening territory of inner space. We are about to take you into the world of the LSD user. A world that to him is real, yet as terrifying and unreal as anything ever imagined. Recall his grip of terror.
The vocals are mixed in a way that it's really hard to hear what is being said. I would personally have a little bit more high frequencies. When you're doing the delay on them, make sure that the delay isn't using all of the frequencies. You can high pass filter a delay in the feedback part. And also don't put too many elements on there that are fighting with it. Right, in this case you could just turn it up by a little bit, because for example this flute that was playing had issues coming through. Here I don't think I'll have to tell you whether this is clean or not. You can see that there's no definition to any of the transients here. You cannot even make them out. In fact, I think the kick is just continuing with the sub bass all the way through. And I don't know why you would do that. Some of the elements are very loud. In terms of their mixing, what you're missing is clear definition between your main elements and your sub elements. Or your supportive elements, I should say. Regarding the signalizer, do you identify by colors or just the waveforms? A little bit of both. I do use the colors sometimes to identify like precisely where transient is, but the main thing that I'm looking at is just the shape of the waveform. Like in here, the colors don't make any sense, but you can see in the waveform that it's a continuous sine wave, right? You can see this shape in there. There's not going to be a transient in here that you can see with the colors, because the color is the frequency. Apart from the kick transient, I guess you could see the unique green color of it, but for the bass transient you won't be able to see anything. You can see the issue of the kick there being way too long. you should submit as well, Acid. Partially because it's fun to do, and partially because after this one I'm out of music to listen to. Again, for anybody joining, !feedback will get you in my Discord server, where you can scroll down here to feedback on stream, and then post right here. Just read this before posting.
Can produce the greatest ecstasy that man knows.
Here again, the vocals don't stand out because there's a lot of stuff playing on top of it. Overall, I think the track has a few too many ideas going on at any given time. I don't think it's necessarily an issue of the mix. I think there's just too much things happening in here. There's also some mixing issues, like the things being very loud here, the atmosphere being very loud. You can see the loudness here, you can see it compressing the waveform very much there. Not that you're going to see a kick and bass shape in this waveform here. I guess now you are a little bit. There's seems to be some more waveform from the bass line happening, but still it's not clean. And you can see that it's kind of compressing the waveform when that vocal plays now. Now the vocal is the element that is way too loud, right? It's very muddy. Like that atmosphere that is happening in there is really taking the focus away from what is important when the kick and bass comes back, and that is the impact of that first kick and the first few bass notes. That should be the thing that keeps people dancing again, right? That is what should get people in the rhythm again, and now it's being masked by this very loud atmosphere playing at the same time. Also, the drums aren't coming through whatsoever, the top drums that you have. I think your snare has a very strong fundamental here. This one over here. Usually for psytrance, we tend to remove the fundamentals of our snares so that the kick has a lot more space there. I still think it's the kick that is so long, right? I saw before like individual bass notes. I guess here one, you can ever so slightly see it in this space over here. But the kick is still coming through the whole thing, I think. Yeah, and now you can also see the fundamental of the snare. I don't know what this outro is meant to be. It sounds a little bit strange, just stuff kind of randomly stopping. I would expect another like atmosphere there or a final closing thing there. Overall though, I do like the sound design that you've going on. At times, as I said, there's a few areas where you have too much going on. I think the main problem with your sound design is that there's no clear main element to it. It's just all kind of happening all the time, and it's always the same kind of sounds. Usually I have like a two-tiered system in that there's one sound that is the important sound. This is in this section, in this point, what I want the listener to hear. And then there's all of the supporting elements and all of the backing elements that make it more interesting, right? Those aren't necessarily on the same level in terms of mixing priority. So it should be the case that one is louder than the other ones in terms of your sound design. Thank you for the feedback. There's no outro yet. You're welcome. How long have I been streaming? I have been streaming for about 1.5 hours. So I think it's time that I put on some of my own music and take a quick break. And then I'll be right back. The music that I'm going to be playing today for you guys is coming off our label that we recently started last week actually. You can find all of the music over here, and I would love it if you guys would subscribe. As you can see, we're just starting out, and you can see that we're slowly trying to grow it with music videos, cool visuals, cool promotional stuff, all that kind of stuff. So go check it out, go subscribe, and maybe by the end of the stream we're at 100 subscribers, who knows. Would be fun if we could get there today. Anyway, I'm going to be putting on one of the tracks from there. I'll put on my own track called Beyond. And right after this, once this has played, we'll get back into the feedback. You guys can submit more tracks. Exclamation point feedback should get you into the Discord server, where you can just scroll down into here, scroll down all the way down here, and then you get feedback on stream, and you can put your track in here. It can be just a file like this. It can be a link. Every link where I can play in the browser is okay, meaning that the only link that I found that doesn't work right now is WeTransfer. So please don't use WeTransfer if you're planning on submitting your track. Any other service, Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, SoundCloud, YouTube, just dropping in the file like this, all of that is fine. It can be MP3, it can be WAV file, doesn't really matter. I'm following you guys. Are you going to release just your tracks or others too? Well, it's just the 5 of us for now. But at some point, yes, we are going to expand into other artists. But that's in maybe like half a year or so, once we have the infrastructure and everything set up to be able to do so. We will make sure that then we can support other artists as well. For now, it's just the 5 of us. Anyway, this is the track. Did I still set it to loop? No, I didn't. Here. I'll be right back. I hope you guys enjoy this track, and I hope to have some more tracks to listen to once I get back. All right, I'm back. Can I send more than one? Of course. Go for it. We have no other tracks yet. We do have something in general. It's not something that I have to respond to now, but I'll check that out later. But go for it. Anyone can submit as many tracks as they want. Sometimes I do skip a couple of tracks if there's too many, but today there seems to be very few people submitting. So if you have more music that I can listen to, then the more the better. Just getting something to drink here. Should have done that in my break, but I had very little time there. What is this here? Sound design requests. I'll look at that later. Okay. I think I should say this again. For anybody new to the stream, ! feedback should get you in my Discord chat. Feedback. Let's see if the bot updated, by the way. Is it alive? Is it working? It did work before. It seems to have died. It's not the most reliable bot out there, the Stream Elements one. I used to be on Streamlabs, but they got into a lot of controversy for basically ripping off Stream Elements with everything they did. Send one more, perfect. We'll have a listen to that in a bit. But I changed to Stream Elements for that, because the Streamlabs was accused of a lot of, like, bad things in the industry, I guess, in the streaming industry, in that they copied everything that they did from another website. So from Stream Elements, the one that I'm using now. But honestly, I'm having much more issues with the bot from Stream Elements than I had with Streamlabs, I think. In that right now the bot is just not responding to the command, right? I'll try again now to see if it has woken up. But it doesn't seem to do. Normally it responds almost immediately whenever you send a command, but it's just not working now. Even though before, as you can see, the bot definitely was in chat, because it responded with the automatic messages. It may have responded even, yeah, somebody asked for feedback and then the link is right there. There should also be a link in my stream description, if I'm not mistaken, for the link to my Discord, so you guys can always use that as well. Again, what you need to do is you just drop into the server, you'll land something somewhere right here, and then you just go down here and you submit your music here, just like these guys did. Before posting, make sure that you read this. I don't accept remixes, I don't accept work that you don't have full copyright to, and you make sure that you you give me permission to use it in the live stream, as well as the video that is made of the live stream automatically by YouTube, so that you cannot claim my stream with your music, because that's happening a lot recently. Like every stream is getting claimed by somebody releasing their track and not thinking about the copyright issues that brings, in that they use automatic content ID claiming, right? That is on YouTube through that distributor. and they don't think about like, oh, where has my music appeared? Where has my music played? Is that going to cause anybody issues? And I get claims, I get copyright strikes even, which for those that don't know is a very bad thing because it can delete your channel if you get 3 of them. I currently have 1, which will last 90 days. I think around 70 more days from when I've gotten it for now. So make sure that you don't claim my channel. You can whitelist people through your distributor. You should just message them with that demand. And they should be able to whitelist people in the Content ID system from automatic claiming so that I don't get claimed whenever you do decide to release your music and you want to have revenue collection through Content ID. That is something that you have to take into account. So we should not share a song uploaded to YouTube? No, when you're releasing it and distributing it, right? The important thing that you should look for is Content ID. Content ID is the system through which YouTube decides, or through which YouTube, I guess, figures out like who has copyright on something. So that's not the same as YouTube itself. It is just the system that YouTube uses whenever you have Content ID. What that means is, I could probably show this on my YouTube Studio end. Can I? Like if I go here, does that show the way that I want it to? Max a little bit more unique. Sorry. Yeah, so this one is claimed, right? This is claimed, and you can see side Lacery, inside confusion. This means that it's claimed because it's in here. And this means that all of the money that I make off this stream actually goes to this guy over here, which, as you can imagine, isn't really acceptable, especially if you are the one submitting to my stream. So that's how you can see if something is in the Content ID system. Anytime the music shows up like that, that means that it's in the Content ID system. And I think you can even search for it. But anytime you distribute through a distributor to services like Spotify or Apple Music, or YouTube Music for that matter, it will ask you, do you want to collect revenue on your behalf, or do you want to strike down or claim other people's re-uploads, something like that. Or it will mention directly the Content ID system. Every platform has its own system like that, like TikTok has it, Facebook has it, Instagram has it. But the most important one for me is the YouTube one, and either you opt out of YouTube claiming or you whitelist my channel. That is what you should do. Anyway, let's go to the next track, which is going to be D16 ARP Acid by Psy Music. I feel like there's multiple melodies playing at this part here. Also the steeriness on the bass line. It's not something that I'm a fan of. On the kick as well. The kick sub is also stereo. You can see we have two waveforms here. At least I'm assuming that this is the kick. The kick is very quiet. This already sounds better. It does need to be cleaned up though. I think this is the kick over here. Again, it's fairly quiet, the kick, in regards to the bass. Usually your kick is like 2 to 2.5 dB, or like 1 to 3 dB, I should say, louder than your bass line. I like that part with the squelch. I was hoping that it would go into something with the squelch here. I think you have some issue here with it not being aligned. You can see, so I'm looking right now here at these lines, which is the acid line that you have, right? You can see most of them are aligned, but some of them aren't. And I'm just looking at the alignment of the transient of the baseline, which are these spikes over here, these 3 spikes. This one is the kick here. You can see that this is the kick by the fact that it sweeps down with the sub bass, as opposed to being made out of like lines like this, right? That even happens up here, but it's too close together to actually see. So you want to align to these spikes here, because those are the 16 notes, and that's what you're looking to align to in terms of the trance feeling that we want to get inside of psytrance. So that's something that I would fix here, the alignment of that acid line. Overall, this track is very, very quiet, but I'm assuming that this is still like work in progress. This bass line is very loud. I do like this part though here with the synths and the melody that you have going on. But you can see the bass line is way too loud for the kick now. The kick doesn't come through whatsoever. I cannot even see the kick in the waveform. Probably around here-ish, I would think. But right now this bass line is overpowering everything. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this melody here. It sounds strange. Also, again, you have too many ideas going on in the track. Like the acid line is just kind of coming in there and taking away from the melody that you have going on here. If this is one of your sections, you should probably focus completely on the melody that is playing in here and not have other like main elements coming in and out. Just equalization, it's just mix. If this is the mix, then you have a lot of work still to do on your mix, to be honest. The main thing that you should look for in your mix at this stage is your volume balance. Because you're saying just equalization, that's not the most important part of the mix. 80% of the quality of your mix is going to come from the differences in volume, the differences in loudness between the different elements. Because that's... that determines like what is most important, what is most upfront in the mix, right? Everything else is like detail work, I should say. This track was made by Psy Music. It's D16 ARP Acid. If you want to get to that track in the Discord feedback on stream, it is this message over here, right under the thank you from Shroom Kaboom. Next up though, we do have Dima X with this Google Drive link. Let's see. Oblique Revenge by Dima. That's here. do you have, Dima, if you're still here, do you have copyright on those vocals? I'm sorry I have to do this. I am scared of claims and stuff like that. Now that I have 1 strike, it's 2 more strike and then literally my channel is deleted. So I hope you understand that stuff that you don't have copyright on, I'm not going to be putting on my channel. So I hope, Dima, that you're still here and that you have copyright on everything and that I can just play it. Quite different music. It was starting off quite differently, yes. I don't know if it becomes psytrance after. I find it hard to imagine that it would be. But that's still okay. Like, I'll listen to anything. It doesn't have to be psytrance on this channel. Obviously, the majority of people make psytrance because that's what I do here. But it can be something different as well. In fact, I think it's refreshing to have something different too. I hope Dima is still here. If for now, I'm going to leave this here. If he does return to us with confirmation that he has the copyright on this thing, then I can play it. But for now, I'll move on to the next track then. Which is going to be Laser T, I guess. That's how you pronounce that? I don't know. Here's my first and only psytrance track made about 2 years ago. Kick and bass clashes a lot together, but it was when I was into mixing at the time. Okay. I assume not mixing, that's meant to say. But we'll have a listen anyway. Laser T with Afterlife. Let's hear. Hello, it don't have copyright claim, but do you have full copyright to that vocal? It's not like some bootleg remix or something like that. Yeah, the kick and bass is an issue. I like the sound design that you have going on here. Very unique. But you can see, yeah, the kick is indistinguishable here, and so are the bass lines. So there's definitely a very big cleaning issue that you have. Also, tonally, I think there's too much sub bass. Wait. Why is the... Ah, this is a square wave bass. Definitely needs work on the cleaning and the sound design. No, not the sound design, the mixing. But the sound design is really cool. A little bit of a strange part there. It was hard to understand what you were really going for with those rhythms. But I like this. I feel like there's 2 synths playing here. It should probably be just 1 synth playing here for better rhythm. This part is nice. If we get a better kick and bass under this sounds really cool. Maybe even something like a sliding bass would work here. This song is fully mine, it won't block your video. Okay, then I'll play it afterwards, after this one. Not a fan of the key changes here. I think I see one of the issues here. The kick is way too long. Just like the track we had before. But overall, the idea is there. I do really like the sound design that you have going on. But you can definitely hear that it's one of the earlier Psytrance tracks that you've made. As you said, this was your only Psytrance track. Made about 2 years ago. So there's definitely a lot of issues with that. Or with the track. But overall, I do think the idea is there. And definitely for a first track, it sounds very, very good. Okay, Dima, I'm going to play out I'm going to check out your song. Oblique Revenge by Dima X. For those who want to hear it again, it's this message over here. Again, in feedback on stream, where you guys can also post. How long should the kick be? My rule is that if I zoom in here, you can see that the kick takes up half the beat, and then the other half of the beat is taken up by the last 2 bass notes, meaning that there's 1 bass note overlapping here with the kick, and you need to do phase alignment, which, as you can see, I've done here. Technically, I do something else, but that's too much details to go into now. But usually, the kick is going to play in this part of the beat, and then in the second part of the beat, you'll have your 2 bass notes filling up that space. Anyway, Oblique Revenge. Let's hear. By Dima X. like there's a little bit of lack of cohesion between the vocal and the rest of the track, because the rest of the track does seem to work really well together in terms of the rhythm that it tries to like emphasize, I guess, but the vocal isn't emphasizing that same rhythm. So I think that's the only critique I would have here. It feels like the track and the vocal don't work together. It almost feels like you put a vocal on there that's coming from another track. That's, I guess, why I would be skeptical again when we first heard it. But if it's not, then what I would recommend is just writing the track a little bit around the vocal more in terms of the rhythm of the other elements. I just got your kicks and a bunch of presets, so it might help getting better. I hope it will. Thank you, by the way. Okay. Next up, we have Fobi. I hope that that's how you pronounce it. Okay, for example, this track without vocals because it wasn't recorded. Okay. Let's see. Do we have another non-psytrance track happening here? Let's see. Sure sounds like it. If anybody recognizes the melody or recognizes if this is a remix or something like that. Sounds really good. For now, the bass line feels a little bit too loud in certain parts, especially here in this register. The kick could have a little bit more strength around the higher frequencies. You can see that it has a very strong sub and not really very strong transient. Right here, the sub is very strong and then the transient is a little bit on the weak side. You can also see it in the waveform probably, in that the transient is this low and then the sub kind of goes up like that. I feel like at this point there's too many ideas happening together. You had two lines of vocals, some chords, some plugs. I wouldn't put all of those ideas together. I almost like this more because now it's very clear. You can clearly hear all of the elements. Even though this is a bit more minimal, this might not be the style that you're going for. I feel like now that all of the elements are playing, it's a bit too busy. There's a lot of polyrhythms and swing in this song, so maybe that's why you felt it was out of sync. Not necessarily, because the musical side was all in sync with each other, like the instrumental, right? It's just the vocal didn't feel like it fitted the rhythm. There's definitely too many ideas going on in this part of the track. honestly, the plugs on their own, the way that you have them, the way that they're so powerful and everything, makes putting anything else in there really hard. So now the vocals, both like vocal chops that you're doing, really don't have the space because those plugs are continuously just like playing. I feel you're getting trapped in a beginner mistake that I hear quite a lot in psytrance as well. And that is that you continuously feel the need to add extra elements to get the interest. There's never an element that leaves. You know what I mean? It always, you start out with the plugs, then it's the plug and one vocal chop, then it becomes the plug and two vocal chops, then it becomes the plug, two vocal chops and a lead sound. It becomes more and more and more. What you've fail to realize is that we can only focus on so much idea in any one part of the track as a listener, right? So I think this track would be a lot more powerful if you have one, maybe two ideas playing at the same time and then just switching between those ideas as opposed to continuously stacking more and more stuff on top of each other. Overall though, I do like the track. I do like the vibe that you've going on. I like the warmth that you have. I like the steer width that you have. There's some issue with the kick, but other than that, the mix sounded pretty clean as well. So I do think that overall it's a very nice track. Do you manage to live from your music, sample packs and stuff? Everything combined, yes. I do manage to live off of everything now, yes. Sample packs, people signing up for private lessons, people signing up for mixing services. I do some editing on the side for some YouTubers, just to have some extra income, but it's not necessarily needed for me, right? Like if I want to make an investment or something like that, then I'll edit a little bit extra on the side for some YouTubers so that I save up some extra money. But my main income stream is my music now, yes. Yes, my track sound hard. It's nothing to worry about. It's a learning process for everybody. I remember the time when I wrote tracks that were much worse. Next up, we have Hansi 23. I hope again that I don't mispronounce that. Here's my new track. Probably my final mix. I bought the vocals of Vocalfy. Okay. I'm going to trust that then. This track has not been found. What you need to do when you're sharing a private track is you need to go, let me see if I can find a private track of mine so that I can show that. Yes. Here's a private track of mine. Don't worry, this is already released. But if you just copy over this one, it will never work. So if I go into an incognito window to show you, if I just copy over this URL, it will not work for anybody else that is not logged into your page, right? The track was not found. Maybe it has been removed. What you need to do is you need to share this link, which you will see has some extra stuff at the end. And that is important when you're sharing private tracks. So the track that I have here, again, it's a private track. I can see it because I'm logged into me. But in order for somebody else to see it, you need to send them this link, which is the same link as before, but with some extra stuff behind it that makes it so that we can see it if it's a private track. Sorry for my bad English, I write messages through Translate. No worries, you're very easy to understand. I'll wait for you, Hans, if you're going to update the link. In the meantime, oh no, there it is. There it is. Nice. Thank you. Need ME Mix 8 New Melody and Bass by Tamarta. I'm assuming also not a psytrance track with the way that it's starting. Maybe. the vocal doesn't line up with the track. Here you can hear another desynchronization issue. The rhythm of the track doesn't work with the rhythm of the vocal. Okay, so we do have some sidetrends. Nice clean kick and bass. Tonally also really like it. Very clean on the sound design. Kick and bass could be a little bit louder, maybe 2 dB. Overall, for how progressive this track is, I feel like the bass line could be more stereo. Obviously not the sub bass. Usually what I do is I use a tool like M Stereo Spread, which allows me to isolate the higher or the lower frequencies from the stereoization process. Meaning that I can say around 250 and above I want it to be stereo. Something like that usually makes your bass line sound a lot more alive, especially if you're working on something this progressive. So here the vocal does line up. Honestly, if you remove the vocal from the intro, I think this track would be better. Because the intro had a very nice, unique idea in terms of its sound design, in terms of the instruments below it. And here you do have the space for the vocal. That being said, the vocal can be turned up by like 2 dB as well. Here it also works. It was just the intro where I felt like it felt off. That's very loud there, all of a sudden. Honest opinion, I don't think the vocal shouldn't play here. This is the point where we get back into dancing after the break. So if you want to play the vocal maybe like 8 bars later, so that we can just focus on the kick and the bass when the kick and bass first starts playing. Overall, very nice track. Some small details to change. This was Need Me Mix 8 New Melody and Bass by Tamarta. Also known in my Discord server as Hans here. So we played this track, but I still need to listen to this one. This is Baluba. Hey Rookie here, first track ever. Wonky mixing levels and kick and bass issues. Would love some feedback. Alright. Again and again .mp3 by Baluba will be the next track. Hello Daada, welcome. I like this. It's a bit wide, you seem to be going out of phase every once in a while. Probably due to the panning, when you're hard panning right or hard panning left, yeah. Bass is very loud. That bass note makes very little sense here. I do like your kick and bass alignment over here. I would fade this bass line out right before the transient. But this one bass note there feels like it's not really doing anything, and it's very loud and very in your face. Also add some higher harmonics to this sub bass over here. Yeah, you say it yourself, you have some cleaning issues. Also the bass, again, it's way too loud for the kick. So you can see in the wave from the kick is supposed to be the most important part. Right, so this is the kick and this is the bass, you can see this is louder. It's a very easy thing that you could check at home as well. Thank you for your feedback, bro. You're welcome. I like the sound design that you've going on, very unique. Here there's too much stuff happening. It's hard to tell what you want me to focus on, which melody, which element. Your atmospheres continue to come in and out, and they're a little bit on the loud side. Like you have this one that goes up and down, right, with the bandpass. That has been continuously playing since the intro. I don't think that that's a good idea because it makes your track become boring very, very quickly. If you just have the same element again and again and again and again and again in the exact same way. I would have stopped that when the kick and bass started playing, actually. Just designate that as an intro element. Wait, is it your kick that is this long again? Also, your sub bass is panning left to right. That's probably a bad idea. You now have kick and sub bass playing together. That's also usually not the best of ideas. And now we have something rhythmical playing on top of this thing that is speeding up. That sounds really strange as well. You could just bring the melody back in there without having it in that build-up. For some reason, one of your hats is panned right. Also, your drums are a little bit on the quiet side, except for that one. feel like there's also some sounds that make use of the lower frequencies a lot, and you're not filtering that out when the kick and bass is playing. Yeah, I feel like your atmosphere, when the atmosphere is coming down all the way here, this one that we see here with the high clicking, once this is coming down all the way, it goes into the frequencies that you really don't want it to be in, because that's where the kick and bass is supposed to play. Ideas are definitely there. I like your sound design. I do think the final thing that I should probably say is that you should probably also watch the tutorial that I posted in chat earlier about arrangement. Let's see if I can still find it. Is it this one? Hello everybody, welcome. Nope. It's the one, I guess. Hello, can I scroll? Thank you very much. This one over here. I think it's this one. Let me just quickly. Yes. This video over here, I think it's a good watch for you as well, because there are some structural issues with the track that make it hard to understand when things are about to happen. So yes, I can tell that you're a rookie and that it's the first track you've ever made. That being said, again, with the other tracks that I've heard today, that people say like it's my first psytrance track that I made so many years ago, or that I just made. In terms of people starting out producing now, I feel like they're really good. And this is another example of people where they get very, very close to what psytrance is supposed to be in their first track. It took me 3 years to write something that I would nowadays even consider like normal psytrance. I guess up until it's still up there, my stuff on my SoundCloud, I think. The first track that I've written that I would consider now proper psytrance. Let me see. This is all the album stuff private. This is more private stuff. Even if you go listen to the Calling remix that is up here, it's terrible. Like it's properly bad music. All of this, I don't like this anymore. The one track that I do like is the Deep Forest here. This is definitely a track that I think I nailed for the time. Like this was a one-off. And then when I started writing proper psytrance would be my first album. This stuff over here. And even here, now that I'm listening to it, I hear things that I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. Obviously, when you're improving, the more that you improve, you will always say, like, my old stuff is sounding bad, right? But this feels like more proper psytrance than what I was doing before. And obviously, the EP and the stuff that is out right now is always a lot better. Anyway, we do have some more tracks here. We have another track by Shroom Kaboom. This one over here. It's me again, also work in progress, need to finish it. And this is called, let's see, Atoms Preview 04, again by Quantum Hopper. Starting out strong with a kick and bass. I would remove this main melodic synth that you have going on here, the polyrhythm thing. For one, I think there's a few too many elements already playing. And two, it's probably a good idea to let a more clean kick and bass come through at the beginning of your track. So that one, the listener can get used to it, and two, the DJ has an easier time mixing into it. Vocals could be a bit louder. Again, kick and bass probably needs to be cleaned. I do really like the tone of it, but yeah, it definitely needs to be cleaned. I think your kick is a bit too long here as well. I like this. Your drums could be louder. In fact, should be louder, especially a hat like this. I've talked about this in other feedback streams, but usually in the spectrum of a sidetrance track, you'll see when the drums are playing that there's this little blob happening at the top here to get that kind of airy quality, that aggressive quality that you want from your drums. Same is true of your clap. Your clap is not really coming out enough. I guess it's normal to hear your own stuff and see issues just like when you hear your own voice. Exactly. Editing for me is... I hate it because I see all of the mistakes that I made in the recording. And the same is true with music production.
The thing that I've always let carry me along, and
here there's...
no regrets.
What I would do is I would remove either the kicks or the melody here,
Worth the life.
so that you have more space for the vocal. I like this part again. I like what you did there with the vocals. Here the vocals should have more presence. Here again you can hear the delay is louder than the vocal itself. Again, the vocal is a very specific element in that we focus on it when we're listening to a track and try to understand what is being said, right? Out of natural habit, I would almost say, out of evolutionary habit, we listen to vocals to try to understand them. Especially when it's just spoken words like this, when you're not glitching it up or messing it up in any way. So in that regard, I would just make sure that the vocals are clearly audible in your mix. I like this ARP thing that you've going on here. I feel like some of the other elements are distracting a little bit too much from the ARP. Like this FM synth that is now playing, we've heard that throughout most part of the track. It's starting to get boring. You're switching it up here, but you would normally do that in a fill. Overall though, I do really like the sound design once again. I like what you had going on with the mix, apart from a few details and the drums in it. Obviously this is still work in progress, so you're probably going to do that later, but you need to clean your kick and bass still. And there's a few things structurally and writingly that I think I pointed out that I don't agree with. But overall, again, very well done. Very nice track. And next up, we have Acid with Hall of Illusions, A minor, 140 BPM here. Finally, I broke my creative dip. Very nice, Daada. Here as well, the vocals are a little bit too far in the back. Just keep that main synth a little bit more low passed coming in. What you should maybe try once or twice is using the kick that you have now but without the hat. I feel like you're always using the same kick and bass and hat on top of that.
An ancient psychedelic drug.
And especially the kick feels like it has a little bit of a strange tonality to it. I may have said it in the last feedback as well. And especially if you continue to use it over and over again for every track, it's going to stand out that you're like doing the same thing over and over again.
Mystical, magical.
Is that Michael from Vsauce that you sampled there? Sound design wise, this track works really well though. Bit strange that we go into less kick and bass or less stuff happening here. I would expect the synth that was playing in the section before to start playing here. So that you first hear the kick and bass a little bit more on its own and then it goes into more and more stuff, more and more synths. Hi, unreleased track, if I send this, it's okay? Yes, as long as when you release it, you don't claim anything on my channel. In terms of copyright claim.
It was a living creature.
Same kick but not the bass or hat. I can definitely hear that you're using then the same kick over and over again. I thought that the tonality came from the hat, but it might come from the kick itself. It just has a bit of a strange tonality to it. And I hear it, it's because I hear it over and over again in every track that you're using that, or every track that you make that you're using the same kick, I guess. Like it's not something that stands out as being wrong, you know what I mean? The tonality of the kick, it's not something that I don't like, but I hear it over and over again and I feel like that makes all of your tracks sound very similar.
UFO landing in Brazil.
Sounds very strange with the modulation sometimes staying at the same spot and then moving down and up again. Sounds like you forgot to modulate certain parts. Mary, how are you doing? I'm not a fan of the hi-hat changing, I guess that's what was happening there. I guess reverbing sounds really strange. At least when it's not just like a transition. I can imagine that when the kick and bass is being filtered out, that works. And obviously you would have a fade out there. The final thing I'll say is I do really like this track. I feel like it's a little bit more confusing than some of the other tracks that you may have sent, in the sense that usually it's very easy to follow the track in terms of what is the main element, what is the supporting elements. And I felt like with this track that was a little bit less the case. It is overall a little bit more confusing to listen to. But I do really like it. Your sound design is really good. The mix is really good. There's just a few more small things that I would change. And then the main thing to think about is, okay, what is my main element and what is my supporting element? I just left some ideas. It was 4 a.m. Yes, you should probably not be producing at 4 a.m. like that. In this part, the bass sounds a bit off-key to me. Unfortunately, I am completely tone deaf and I cannot verify that. As I said before during the stream, this thing is here purely for cosmetics. I know nothing about music, like theory or anything like that, and I have no ear for being able to hear different pitches. I'm getting to the point now where between the keys A sharp, G sharp, and F sharp, I can hear the difference. Because that's the 3 keys that I write in the most. So I guess that's the only music theory that I can hear here. I just want to know what's wrong with my kick. It has a very strange click to it. It's hard to tell even, but it has a very unique, strange click to it. And the reason why I guess it's standing out to me, it's not, as I said, it's not like it's necessarily wrong, but I hear the same kick over and over again in every track, and at that point, that click starts to come out. Like, oh, it's doing the same thing again. It's the same kick again. Oh, I hear that same kick again. You know what I mean? Anyway, next up we have Daada, who is finally out of his creative dip. This is Daada with No Name, G sharp, 148 BPM. Let's hear. Starting off strong immediately, with nice clean kick and bass. I do like a little bit of stereo processing on the mid and high frequencies of my bass line if I were you. Mix-wise and tone-wise, I do really like what's happening so far. Obviously, Daada, very good in the sound design department as well. Feel a little bit empty at this point. I imagine you're gonna do more stuff with that. Overall, I would say the track is lacking a bit of attention to the stereo field. There's a lot of synths in here that are either very mono or completely mono. I would try to play a little bit more with the stereo wave of some of the sounds. Like this one over here that just played, it felt completely mono. At this point it's better, yeah. Kick feels a bit quiet. Yeah, you could probably turn up the kick by a little bit. Maybe 2 dB. 2.5 dB even. Here we have a visual of that. The kick could definitely be a little bit louder in my opinion. Maybe not 2 dB like I said before. Like the phasing with the kick and bass. I do like the transition that we just heard. I don't know if that's phasing. It sounded like almost like a strange resonator to me, a little bit of redux. Maybe I couldn't quite place what the effect was that was happening there. That sounded very cool. I feel like there should be a little bit more stuff happening here. We just had that atmosphere. I like having this lead like soloed for a little bit. But once the atmosphere hits, I would like to hear maybe some more play like you're doing right here, for example. It was a flanger. Aha. As you can hear, Daada is very crazy when it comes to his sound design. He definitely knows his stuff. Which you can also tell if you get his wavetable specs, by the way. Yes, Daada, I agree. That's why I like to keep some of my elements completely solo as well in the same way like that. I do think though after like 8 or maybe even the 16 bars that it was, it would be nice to complement it with some more elements, like very short vocal chops, very short like atonal stuff. I know you know how to sound design, so I probably don't need to explain to you exactly what kind of sound to put in there. But I do think that once that atmosphere kind of comes in and you have the little kick fill happening when that thing plays, it signifies to the listener like, right? Like, okay, more stuff is about to happen. And then it doesn't continue happening. So I guess that's the reason why I thought that more stuff would play there. I'm just thinking of getting all of them sooner or later. They're very good. They're very, very well done. I really like his pack. His packs, because there's 4 of them. But yeah, anyway, next track is again from Hansi. I'm going through them quite quickly. How long have I been live now? It's almost been 3 hours, so I'm either going to wrap up or I'm going to take another break soon. But anyway, Hansi, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, but this is Tamarta again. I made this one a year ago. Normally I do prog, but this one is more like Psy, which means that we'll all enjoy it here. Not that we didn't enjoy his last track. Starts off very loud. I feel like there's a few too many ideas going on in this part. It's hard to focus on a main thing. Nice tone to the kick and bass, I like it. It does need to be cleaned up. As you can see here, the kick transient is messed up. Your bass transients are messed up. Once the fifth is done, let me know, then I'll immediately purchase it, Daada. I think the main issue with this track here that I can hear, it's that you're trying to do too much, like in every section. Now we have the acid line and the melody playing and background elements playing. Even here you have one shots playing, I guess, like every 2 bars, and they're playing through each other, so it's really hard to focus on a specific element again. The rhythm that you're having, that very low wobbly synth, doesn't align with the acid line, so again they're fighting with each other as opposed to complementing each other. The acid line is also a bit loud here. I do like this part a lot though. I think if you were to just delete the track that has the acid line on it, this distorted acid line, the track would be better, because it's kind of taking over all of the play, all of the time. It's playing everywhere and it never really has the space to come through, in my opinion. Maybe the first time we heard it. There it has its own unique space. It needs more space, yes. I like this transition to the triplets. That's very well done. But even here, it feels like you're trying to do too much. One of the things that is really hard for beginners, even intermediate producers, even me at times, is remembering that the listener does not have the luxury of going into the project file and listening to individual elements by soloing them. They have to interpolate the information that is in one waveform. And technically speaking, there isn't multiple instruments, it's just one signal, right? So the illusion of separation and the focus that we bring to an individual element, we have to put that in the mix for them. Right now here as well, it's really hard to figure out mentally what you want me to listen to. There's percussions going on, there's obviously the kick and bass, but we can forget about that for a little bit. But then there's melodies, there's one-shots happening, there's detail sounds in here. Now the acid line is coming in again as well. Definitely needs some work, but overall I do like the track here. I do like the ideas that you have going on. I just feel like you have too many ideas for the track. Let's see. The track was how long? The track was 6 minutes. You couldn't write a 9-minute track with the amount of ideas that you're trying to put in these 6 minutes. Right, you could make it 1.5 times longer and then space out the elements more and you would be okay. I didn't really know what I was doing back then and I also never posted this one. Well, then it's nice that you see your own improvement as well. But thank you for the feedback. You're welcome. I hope that you do something with it. I hope that you write some more side, because you're definitely there. You definitely know what you're doing. icedrive.net. I have never seen this. Can I play directly from here or do I have to download it? Preview. Oh yeah. Here. So this is Steels, Men Steels Master 7. Let's see. I feel like here there's also a bit too much going on. I do like this though. This is more on its own. What I would do in the intro is remove the noise that you have going on, that flanger noise. Doesn't really do anything and it distracts from the main ideas because it's so many high frequencies. High frequencies tend to grab your attention, and musically speaking, that noise didn't really do anything for you. Funny thing is happening with your snare. It seems to be cancelling out completely here its fundamental with the kick. You obviously don't want that. You want your kick to be just like the kick without the snare on it. So remove that fundamental from your snare. At this point, we're getting kind of bored of this same sequence again, and there should have been a fill after like 16 bars, maybe 32 if you want. Kick and bass probably needs to be cleaned up there. Add some strange wobbly texture to it. Don't start with a sequence. I do agree with that, yes. I would like to hear, or to give the kick and bass a little bit of space. Usually I have my first section only one shots, sometimes even the first 2 sections. Or a very, like, minimal kind of sequence. I like it. I don't like the cut in the chords there. I'm not really a fan of that. It felt off. I was trying to find a word that described it better, but I couldn't. Here the vocal and everything is a bit overpowering. A little bit loud. Honestly, for the vocal that you have going on now, the kick feels very aggressive. You know what I mean? It feels like a Volcano on Mars kick, but the track that you're trying to write is more phase, if you know what I mean. Overall though, I do really like it. Again, overall I would say that the quality of music submitted to my feedback stream is very high, including this one. And there are some things to point out, as always, but keep working on it. It sounds very, very good. Nice, thanks Projector and Real Alex. I'm still playing our song for a bit. Who knows how it will be in the final release? Yes, of course, there's a lot of work that can still go into it. And some people are like tinkerers. They tinker with one track for a year. So at the end, it feels completely different. Anyway, how long have I been live? Almost 3 hours. I think after this one, I will finish the stream here. After this track here with Shroom Kaboom. So I'm going to say queue closed so that nobody submits anymore. But yeah, this is Mellow Crash Preview 03 again by Quantum Hopper. There's a lot of melodic stuff happening today in the different tracks that people submitted. I like this. Very nice atmosphere there. Nice clean kick and bass. Tonally, I think it's a little bit dark. I'm not sure if that's what you're going for, because the melody suggests that you're not going for something like Dark Side here. And the kick and bass does really have a Dark Side feeling, so you could go for Dark Side by removing the melody, or you could make the kick and bass a little bit lighter, a little bit more open. Also, it could have some stereo wave on the like mid-range and higher frequencies of the bassline. That always makes the bassline sound better, in my opinion. Almost always. I feel like that section was 32 bars, so there should probably be a fill in the middle at 16 bars. Right, remove 3 kicks and 4 beats of bass line, so that you end on the kick and then 1 bar of silence. Or no kick and bass, actually. You keep your other elements going on since they're continuing for the whole section. I'm not a fan of the bass coming in before the kick and bass. That sounds a bit strange. Another thing that I don't particularly like is your continuous use of the same kind of like atmosphere in the background. You have this atmosphere, which I really like. And I like how sparingly you use it, but there's some other atmospheres that are like sweeping up at different octaves. The ones that go the one that you hear in the background, right? I think that has been continuously going since the intro. Because psytrance tracks are like 8 minutes long, you cannot really use the same element throughout the whole track all the time. Trust me, I've learned that the hard way, trying to actually do that once. Even here, now that you're going into this high energy part, what I would do is just not have any of those sweeps, those low, slow atmospheres. There's no reason for them to be here. All they do is slow your track down. When this is supposed to be the hands up, hardest part of the track, you know what I mean? Where can I submit my music? Well, normally you can submit in my Discord server, but unfortunately, I just closed the queue, so you'll have to wait till next Sunday. And then you can submit your music by typing !feedback, scrolling down here, and posting your music right here. But unfortunately for today, we are finished. I'm missing... Sorry. I'm missing some fills. The kick and bass just continuously goes and goes and goes, and that becomes very repetitive after a while. Here as well, you're switching between the elements. That's a prime example of a spot where there should be a fill. The kick and bass should just stop for a bar. As I said, you have one final kick to kind of close the phrasing of the kick and bass. But then you can do something like a drum fill. You could do a kick fill, but I tend to not really associate those with actual fills. But as it is just important that the kick and the bass just stops for a little bit so that the listener gets reset. Thanks so much for your content, Projector, and many alerts thanks to channels like yours. I'm glad you like it. I like doing it, and I also like receiving praise, so thank you. I like the unique vibe that you're going for with this track. As I said, the kick and bass feels a little bit dark, especially the bass, I would say. The bass doesn't really have a transient, as you can clearly see now here. By the way, is this a wavetable bass? It is. Very nice. Okay, so that was the last track. I hope that the feedback was useful and that you all enjoyed the stream. I really have to pee, so I'm trying to wrap this up as soon as possible. But yeah, hopefully we see each other next time. And I will see if that's going to be during the week or next Sunday. I don't really know yet. Depends on how busy I am during the week, if I'll stream another time or not. But either way, you guys will see when the notification goes out during the week if I stream. If not, we'll see each other next Sunday, and then we'll be back for some more feedback. Thank you. Bye bye.